Welcome to She's Got Guts, where functional nutrition meets ancient wisdom to bring you grounded insights and practical tools for your wellness journey. Join Laura, licensed Eastern medicine practitioner and wellness wizard, and Molly, registered dietitian and gut health expert, as they unpack trends, tackle bloating, balance hormones, and help you thrive in modern womanhood without completely frickin' losing your mind. Let's do this. Are you so bloated, constipated, feel like you're getting sick, feel like crap before your period?
It is a bit of a mystery to some. Let's help you figure it out.
Let's do it.
So, what happens right before your period? Let's back up a little bit. What phase are you in of your menstruation right before your period? We call it the
luteal phase.
Luteal phase, which is essentially after you've ovulated, but you haven't had your estrogen start to drop yet. Day 21 or so, estrogen and progesterone both start to drop. And then when we get real close to 7, can be longer for different people, but let's just kind of use that 28-day cycle as an example. Then we creep right up to day 28, and all of a sudden everything tanks. And you're like, why do I have a sore throat? I kind of have a little bit of a headache. Man, why is my cramps in my back now? And I'm so constipated. Why am I not pooping? Like, what is going on? Everything's just kind of stuck there. It's been for like 2 days. I'm a little bit bloated. My hands are kind of puffy. Like, I just feel sore and achy everywhere. And did I say sore throat? Like, I have this intermittent sore throat that keeps like coming and going. Maybe even a little phlegm in my nose. Like, I kind of feel sick, but I kind of feel PMSy. Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Well, there's this lovely little thing called a prostaglandin. It has nothing to do with the prostate, even though it sounds the same. And they're inflammatory cells, and they kick in when our estrogen and progesterone drop really low. And so we have all these cells in our body. They're in our back, they're in our digestion, they're in our brain, they're everywhere, all over. And there's more inflammation for them to respond to. And it's actually pretty magical when you really think about it, because of estrogen and progesterone, because they are such a foundation for our ability to respond to basically everything that happens, of how we respond to our food and our external world and our stress and all the things, that without them there, our body has a backup mechanism. And this is the backup. So when we have that happening, we have this inflammation, it's showing up, our period comes, and then all of a sudden we feel better. And why is that? Well, usually around day two-ish, the hormones start building again, which is kind of weird because you don't really think when you're in that mode and bleeding, you've had like maybe 1 or 2 days of heavy blood, your blood's came and gone, whatever, that you're like, oh, I can't be building right now. I'm literally bleeding. How is that possible? Well, I guess it may not be building more as opposed to more of preparation, in that, your FSH and your LH are going to start rallying. That's a great time to treat people who are trying to conceive or trying to regulate their period. And when I say treat, I'm speaking from an acupuncture perspective. That's a great time. Or to introduce lifestyle stuff, nutrition, herbs, those sorts of things around that time, to really encourage the follicle and the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone to really nourish those eggs as much as they can. But you start building after that. But there's that weird little window where you're like, why do I not feel good? This is the worst. So what else is there with this inflammatory stuff, Molly?
So prostaglandins are not just in the uterus, but they're like receptors that can go to any cell in the human body at a site of tissue damage, infection, inflammation. So like you just talked about, there's a lot going on with the reproductive system during that time. But they're also actually found in menstrual fluid and seminal plasma. But they're released locally at sites to response to like an inflammation or a damage.
An inflammation event. Yeah.
Exactly. Or a cardiac system, like where there's they can regulate blood flow. There can be in the GI tract to protect your mucosa of your GI system, or in your kidneys to like regulate water balance and sodium and stuff like that. So
that just makes me think about anxiety too with the heart. When you said, I'm always so anxious right before my period. I'm like, I'm laying here spinning and I'm anxious and all I want to do is sleep and I'm hot. My back's sore and I want to poop.
Well, it's interesting because prostaglandins are responsible for both period cramps and uterine contractions. Dun,
Which,
dun, dun.
hey, this is very tails on our little last conversation we had about, the good and the bad within the action of the energy of your body. There's always going to be an overexpression, an underexpression, and an appropriate expression. And this prostaglandin is so helpful. Thank God for the backup system. But the backup system can also be overactive or run out of juice.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And one of the things you mentioned was you felt like you had to poop. Well, in the woman, our colon is like 6 inches longer than a man's colon because it has to go around our uterus. So when our uterus is inflamed, I think it kind of like moves things around and makes it not work as well. And it's got to go a longer way, certainly. So remembering that can be a part of it too.
And the uterus is more full of blood at that time. Like the uterine lining is more full. That can make it more heavy. In Chinese medicine theory, when we have blood, even though that is appropriate, like we were waiting for the egg or, the sperm and egg to meet and that is fertile ground, it's there for a reason. But if that doesn't have it, obviously it's going to move out. But when it's there, if it hasn't moved out, it's kind of akin and similar to having like someone punched you in the shoulder so hard that now you have like a big bruise. That is going to be painful because the blood is stagnating there and there is immune components present. So that's very similar to kind of combining that thought and the physical aspect of the colon, that until that blood moves down and the inflammatory process cools, you're probably not going to poop until that happens, unless you can incorporate lots of little tricks and things, but just kind of naturally going along with it. You have to wait till your blood, what we would say the blood stagnation goes down. Like blood stagnation finally releases and goes down. So do the bowels.
Yeah, exactly right. Prostaglandins and histamine are both rapidly released inflammatory, like we call them mediators. So things that work with the immune system and regulate inflammatory responses, or even like with histamine, allergic responses. Sometimes that's why people have because a prostaglandin can sensitize you to the effects of histamine. And remember, histamine is those, like a reaction of histamine would be like the itching or an allergy or a rash, or seasonal allergy, stuffy nose, that kind of thing. They can work together to stimulate activation of white blood cells. And that can be related in things like food sensitivities.
Yeah. Would that also be like part of, like when you say stimulate white blood cells, I kind of imagine in Chinese medicine, I'm trying to kind of wrap my brain around that. And I'm pretty sure that's what we would call dampness, which is when you start to accumulate inflammatory fluids. And that is like runny nose, or maybe you have a phlegmy cough, or maybe you're bloated. All those different areas, like brain fog, that's another one too. And maybe you're just tired. Everything isn't flowing as though it normally would. You've got this big womb of blood that's ready to fall.
Yeah. And with that, thinking about how inflammation is the first step to healing. So it's not always bad, but we want to remember that these activities that we can do, it's like before my period, I like to do like a vibration plate. I find it extremely helpful. That I don't think, like, it doesn't really work for weight loss. I mean, unless you're working out on it, which I would not necessarily do.
Maybe over
not because there's
time
anything
with the
wrong,
lymph
but
stimulating, being able to kind of
think
get
so?
rid of excess fluid. I think over time it would be helpful for excess fluid if you're moving and not over consuming calories and things. Like if you're in a
Significant
container
weight
of
loss?
doing the other stuff, I think that would probably be very helpful, because the more your lymph is in the game, the less inflammation you're going to have, the less dampness you're going to have. You're going to feel less squishy.
Like 5 pounds, 10 pounds.
Oh, I don't know. I think it would just support weight loss overall. I don't think that it would
Okay.
be like, you can hop on this thing and lose 10 pounds.
That's
like
what they're
maybe you
saying.
would, but everybody's,
Yes.
well, that's marketing, and that's
I
the
know.
whole
I just
name of
wanted
the
to
game
break.
here
I
with
wanted
us
to
is-
break it down.
I know. I
For
like
the
it.
people.
I'm like it. But we're like, no, it has to work for your organism, which I think it would, but don't expect,
Yeah.
it could be miracles, but maybe not. But I think most people know that these days. My goodness, our
I hope.
ability to respond to the way they have to market to us to get us to pay attention on social media is a big deal.
Right. It is a big deal. But yes, vibration plate, stretching, warm things, warm bath, heating pad, like really moving some of that around when possible. And stretching and doing those stretches like yoga poses and stuff that are really gentle but can help to release and push through that peristalsis motion of your
Yeah.
intestines to help with that and to help kind of calm down some of that inflammation, calm down your nervous system.
Yeah. And I personally love orgasms because it reduces the oxytocin, which is the highest one up there, the highest neurotransmitter up there. And then you get the dopamine, and then you get the serotonin, and then you get the relaxant type of stuff. And then your uterus is like, oh, it's time to relax now. I love that. I think that's great. And I think I love how you added in things. I'm going to talk about things that you shouldn't have. Like if it's too much before, or if it's, a day or two. Well, with Chinese medicine, we'll look at day 20. Like if you have reoccurring premenstrual syndrome, you should be around day 21 trying to do things that are a little different if you want that cycle to go better. And in the acute, meaning like that's kind of the acute phase, right? So from day 21 to when it happens, you can reduce your caffeine intake and increase your water and hydration. I think those are huge. Look out for alcohol. That's very damp and really heavy on the liver, inflammatory. It's not going to help that cascade of the falling of the estrogen and progesterone and the prostaglandin. That's just going to increase the prostaglandins to go bananas. And I know inflammatory foods that you may know for you are inflammatory, like maybe spicy food or eggs or gluten or whatever it is that you're just like, I feel terrible when I eat those. Well, don't eat those right before. Although there is there is that sometimes the, progesterone loves a little more of a higher blood sugar. Like it does better in a higher blood sugar environment where estrogen doesn't necessarily do so good. It really likes blood sugar to be balanced, which is when you hear people talking about perimenopause and when you're in menopause and ways with like, even if you're on HRT and you want to help that process, really keeping your blood sugar stable is totally part of the game. It also helps reduce inflammation. It's great. I mean, so many different things, nervous system balancing. It's wonderful. So if you're skipping meals or throwing in sugar or you don't want to be doing a whole lot of that before either. But what's interesting is that you'll find people who are like, I just needed to eat an entire bowl of pasta and then my period came. And they're like, why is that? You were like, I knew that this is what my body needed. And it might be just because, you're at a time in your life when maybe you were moving through the world in a way that kept your estrogen a little high, but it had to tank with the progesterone. And the progesterone really just needed a higher glucose environment where the estrogen was having a little more of a struggle. And it's like, okay, I just actually need more glucose in the system to be able to pull off this endeavor to actually tank. Yeah. I mean, I know that I'm like, I need to eat a shit ton of carbs right now so that things can kind of come together. I usually don't eat pasta, but big bowl of rice or something. I usually like curry right before because it moves the blood and brings down a little inflammation. The turmeric and the hot spicy stuff is like good. And
all the herbs and spices.
And not too nice and carby.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Curry before.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
I don't know. Is there anything else that you think of that would be like no-nos? Oh, cold. Don't do cold. Don't walk around in the cold without your feet on.
Without your feet on.
Don't walk without your feet on. Without your shoes or socks on in the cold. That is a direct hit to the womb, and you can expect cramps right away, especially if you are prone to cramps. And keep everything covered. If you're don't go in a cold plunge at that time. But if that's part of what works for you in terms of anti-inflammatory, then just rinse your shower or just rinse after your shower on cool. Basically, until your tissues, like when you go into a cold plunge and everything just like firms up, like it feels so good, right? You're like, I'm strong and firm. This feels amazing. That's great. You can slowly turn up the cool on your legs and your arms and maybe your back, but try to avoid your womb. You could probably get your breasts in there so they get nice and taut, but you don't want to put the cold water right on your womb. And usually the shower floor is warm by the time you're rinsing. So you can do a little bit of cool, but not too much. You don't want to go cold plunging like right before your period.
Now, I tell people 2 teas. One, cold brewed raspberry leaf tea.
Sure.
You can drink it warm, but I really like raspberry leaf. It helps a lot. There's a lot of actual evidence behind it, which I'm a big fan of. And then I also say ginger because ginger helps to stimulate peristalsis. But now that you're saying hot, it makes sense because ginger's hot.
Ginger's acrid. It'll move the blood. It's also sweet, so it'll go to the spleen and stomach. And it also will, like, literally, it's very warming, so it will, warm up the blood and move the blood a little bit more. I'm a big fan of just calling me and helping me find, or allowing me to write you a custom herbal formula that you take from day 21 until your period happens. And you can only take it that time. Like, you can literally be like, okay, I'm in the luteal phase. I'm going to drink this tea in the morning and in the evening. Super easy. Just throw the little granules in and put the hot water over it and do that for like 3 months. And it's usually 3 months of at that premenstrual time that people really notice a big difference. But at home stuff, I think fennel's good too. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Fennel is good because, well, for me, it helps to open up the intestines, relax them, and let gas pass through the intestines. So that allows you to be less bloated because you're passing gas. Why do you like it?
Fennel?
Yeah.
It tastes good and it's warming. And again, it's moving, warming and move. I like the spleen and stomach warming and moving stuff because you're in that part of your cycle that is using kidney energy. Like, the kidney energy has a lot to do with turning on and off the regulating of your cycle. Like, the kidney energy controls that. But the spleen and stomach is what helps you bring in your food and nutrients, have, joy and good experiences, drink fresh, clean water. All of those things are what feed and help keep that kidney energy really full, so it can facilitate that stuff. So things, when you're helping what we would call like the branch of this, the kidney being the root, when you help the branch, you really ease up the root, which is nice.
One thing I did want to say about custom herbal formulas is that for a very long time, I had a very strange thing going on with my system where anytime I was experiencing any kind of overload of anything, then it would show up not even as acne, but as inflammatory bumps underneath my skin, not like cystic acne, like they were smaller. And it's been going on for a very long time. So Laura and I discussed it, and she wrote me a custom herbal formula at first to bring things down, and then one as more of a maintenance. And I had gotten off all hormone replacement because it was just making things worse. And I have now, because of that, 2 months in, been able to go back on estrogen replacement, no problem at all.
Yes.
Yeah, everything is just about healed, and it is absolutely incredible what it's been doing for me.
That makes me so happy. And that is such a good concept to hit on, especially during this time, that when your hormones are shifting, all systems need to be able to support that.
Fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just jump right in. We're like, I'm going to throw this on. I'm going to throw this on. You didn't do that. I'm just saying, when we don't know what to do.
I believe me, I threw it all on. But also, I've done a significant amount of work. Right. I've done a significant amount of work about Candida and Crohn's. There's a very strong link and the microbiome, and then rebuilding the good bacteria and really cleaning up my diet and all kinds of things over years and years and years. So while any kind of acne, quote unquote, had gone, it was this mysterious thing that no dermatologist could answer. They would say, try this, no, I'm not, but so custom herbal formula is no joke, and we live across the country from each other. So I have always been so sad that I couldn't see you for acupuncture, which I will soon. But, then you can still help. So it is, and you'll create something and some information about that and maybe put it in the show notes here.
Yeah. Well, on PDX Acupuncture, you can go there. Okay. You can schedule a virtual wellness consult, which is where we kind of talk about a lot what we talked about today, like where to interact to get the systems dialed. And then if a formula is necessary, we would absolutely write one of those. Or if you're just like, I just want a formula, that's actually even on on my Instagram of Lala's Wellness, there's a box kind of scrolled down towards the bottom that says, I want a custom formula. And it's also on my PDX Acupuncture page, because obviously we do a lot of that there. So you can anytime, which would be great. And thanks for that testimonial. That really means a lot. Chinese medicine really works. And the herbal stuff internally, it's kind of just like the same, like you pick a prescription of points when you give someone a treatment. It's essentially just that same thing, but with herbs at home. So it's really wonderful. And if you're doing great nervous system stuff at home, it's a lovely combo.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing this podcast for 1.5 years, and I've been, going through my doctorate program as well. And, everything that I learn, and obviously I'm working with you, it's acupuncture is one of the referral recommendations that I make to most of my patients.
Great.
Because it is a fantastic complement, and your body does need to be in balance, and sometimes we need someone to help us like take down from here to here, to be able to then do all the things that are required of us too, right? So get out of that kind of state, whatever that state is, but back into some balance so that you can then support it with diet and lifestyle.
Yeah. And kind of think about it like just grabbing the little doll and shaking it a little bit, or like tapping on the computer. I mean, like the files are in the computer. Okay, we're just going to hit the reset button here real quick, and then you can find them.
Well,
that's good.
Anything else?
Hopefully, no, I feel good about that. I love this quick little shorty about like, why do I feel like crap? Well, manage your inflammation. That's a great way to go. Yeah.
Yes. And we're here for you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We offer personalized support to clients in many ways and would love to work with you. Reach out to Laura at Lala's Wellness and Molly at Women's Gut Health for more information. Unlock your full health and hormone potential with Super Q, Boom Bomb, and Best Tea. Check out the link in the show notes for more. See you next Saturday.